Solo play options for tabletop miniature games are nothing new, but more and more companies are interested in this topic. Catalyst Game Labs wants to jump on the bandwagon with this product right here. This is Battletech Aces Scouring Sands. It's the first box set in this series of Battletech Aces. We'll talk more about the contents of this box in just a little bit, but first, let's kind of summarize what we know about this particular concept of Battletech Aces. One thing we do know is this game kind of missed its initial release deadline. It was supposed to be released, at least according to online sources, at the end of June 2025, and at the time I'm recording this video, that was several days ago, and that's also why you may hear gunshots, those things that sound like gunshots, going off in the background, because it's almost 4th of July here in the United States. Those are fireworks, by the way. Much of what we know about this particular product here comes in this fantastically massive article over on Sarna.net, where they are talking with the developers of this game expansion. One thing to note, that even though Battletech Aces is an official product and it's going to be published by Catalyst Game Labs, they're not the ones who are actually making it. It's being made by a company called Lynn Vander Studios. And in this particular article, there's a whole bunch of fluff text here if you're really interested to see exactly how these guys got into Battletech. You can read the first 15 pages of this thing, or however long it goes down, but for our purposes, we're going to scroll past all this and take a look at some of the details about the actual gameplay mechanics of Battletech Aces. This is going to be a card-driven AI system for Battletech Alpha Strike, and that's an important thing to note here. This is for the Alpha Strike version of the game and not for standard Battletech. In the interview I just referenced a moment ago, the developers of this system kind of hint at maybe they're working on something for Battletech, the standard version, but that's not in development quite yet, and I wouldn't expect to see that anytime soon. Now, how this system is going to break down is there's going to be decks of 6 cards each, and each deck is going to apply to a role of a battle mech. So things you see here, Brawler, for example, or Juggernaut, Sniper, those kind of classifications for battle mechs, and not specifically the weight class of the mech. Now, the developers do mention there are going to be some specialized decks for certain types of mechs that are a little bit more unique. For example, maybe if a mech has a heavier reliance on its jump jets for its tactics, there's going to be a specialized 6-card deck for that type of mech, instead of whatever normal role it would have under the Alpha Strike classification system. Going back to the cards over here, they are double-sided cards. One side is going to be for the movement for that turn, and the other side is going to be for combat. Now, we don't have the full details on what all the icons mean, so we can't quite figure out exactly how this card works, but you can see there is some sort of logic flow you're going to be able to follow to figure out exactly how this mech is going to react during a particular turn on the battlefield when following the instructions of this card. And then we got to see in this interview one other image. Now, this image is very blurry. That's how it's presented to us, because what it is a list of almost all the cards that are going to be in the Scouring Sands set, or something like that. So this is a massive Excel spreadsheet that somehow helps the developers make sense of all the cards. What they see here, these people who know how to use Excel are absolutely crazy. And my opinion on that is go ahead and learn a real programming language. It's more useful. Sorry, being a bit of a jerk there. Now, in addition to the system of cards for each mech role, there's also going to be kind of force commander cards. Each enemy force may use a command card, as you see here. In this case, we have a Star Captain from Clan Jade Falcon. They're going to be an enemy in the first box set, more on that in just a little bit. And the idea here is this command card is going to influence some of the decisions the other AI cards are going to make, and therefore the force you're fighting is supposed to feel more like an actual Jade Falcon force than, say, just a generic AI opponent. According to Sarna.net, this is originally supposed to be some sort of purely card-based expansion, but I guess Catalyst Game Labs got a little too overzealous about it, and they've already gone ahead and announced 4 box sets, despite the fact that we're still who knows how far away from the first one being released, and each one of these deals with a story element from the Ill Clan era. In a moment here, we'll talk about some of the details of the products, but first I just want to mention that the upcoming crowdfunding campaign for my next set of 3D printable Fractured Colony gaming miniatures, it's on a preview state over on Kickstarter. You can find a link down in the description below, and that'll take you to a place where you learn more about what's available in this particular crowdfunding campaign. This is the Manticore Infantry Fighting Vehicle, as well as a way for you to be notified when the particular crowdfunding campaign officially starts. All right, let's get back to the news. So just to rattle these things off really quickly. First box set is Scouring Sands, with the enemy being Clan Jade Falcon. We have some details about this product we'll show you in just a moment. The second box set, Wrath and Reprisal, Compelling Confederation versus Duchy of Andorian. The third box set is called Snowblind. I had to look this one up. The Joiners versus Deniers is part of the Rossahog Dominion. And then the last box set, Controlled Burn, is Federated Suns versus Raven Alliance. Each of these box sets is based on the events of a Battletech sourcebook. And we saw this at the start of the video. Here is the box art for the first box, Scouring Sands. You can find this on a number of different e-commerce websites. Now, it's important to note that there is no formal release date for this yet, so even though these websites are taking pre-orders for it, you really shouldn't go ahead and pre-order a product that doesn't have any sort of release date. That's my opinion anyway. And here's the other main image you're going to see for this product, which are the various figures that are going to be part of the first box set. Now, when I first saw this image, I thought that we were looking at actual miniatures. Now that it's blown up in front of me here, these are just CG renders. So let's go through the list of the mechs and the two vehicles that are going to be part of this set. We've got a Thunderbolt 2C, a Summoner H, Howler 6, Bane 3, Rifleman C2, Locust 2C4, and Marauder 2C6, as well as two Fulcrum hover tanks. And then you've got a host of rule books. Oh, the campaign book, by the way, this is going to have a campaign to go along with it. And the way it's going to be structured is there's going to be, I think, several different 7-scenario paths. So even though there's 22 scenarios total, your campaign is going to follow 7 different missions. And then it's going to be a branching thing based on what you decide and what happens. So you're not going to play all the scenarios every time. And then an assortment of cards for Alpha Strike, Pilot cards, of course Aces cards, because that's how the Sol system operates. And then some Commander cards that you saw a little bit earlier, as well as other stuff related to helping you play the game. The last thing we're going to talk about here is the release date. Now, I mentioned that originally it was scheduled for the end of June. Obviously, that came and went and has not happened. And the only place where I can see anything that looks like an official release date, and this is probably not official because it's coming from some random online e-commerce website. The website, Tabletop Renaissance, whoever the heck they are, I have no idea who they are. They're saying a release date of 11/15/2025, but I have no idea who's telling them that piece of information. So I honestly would not go ahead and assume that this is actually going to be available on that date. Now, we're not too far from Gen Con, so quite possibly we may actually see more information about this product, including the actual product itself, but we're just going to have to go ahead and wait and see what happens. All right, well, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you all for watching. I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield, and be sure to check out the link down below for the upcoming Kickstarter project for my next set of Fractured Colony 3D printable gaming miniatures. I'll see you guys all next time.